All right, guys. The word of the day is this. This should be a good one. Social distancing. This is one of those words that's been pretty popular recently with the whole COVID-19 situation.
When I visit my sister or visit my parents, whether I'm dropping something off for them or buying some groceries for them, then I just say hi through the window, keep my 6 feet distance, like hi.
With all this uncertainty, all this negativity, we wanted to focus more on positivity. We are starting a GoFundMe supporting the Share Our Strength No Kid Hungry campaign. So if you guys want to help us, it would mean a lot to us. We have a link for the GoFundMe. Please donate what you can. And Annie designed new 6 feet away merch. Starting today to the end of April 30th, 100% of the profit is going to be going towards Share Our Strength and the No Kid Hungry campaign. Thank you guys very much for your support, and stay safe, but also don't forget to stay redonkulous.
Thank you.
Yes. Yep. Thank you. Help us feed hungry kids. Okay. We're live in 3, 2, 1, action.
It's the Jeff and Annie and James Redonkulous Show. Yeah.
Awesome.
Welcome to the Redonkulous Podcast. This is Season 2, Episode 9. And of course, this is Jeff, and you're hanging out with Annie and James. Guys, say what's up.
Hello.
Hello, guys.
All right, so today we have a very special episode. We are joined by Mr. John Doe. He is actively working in law enforcement. We're not going to really tell you who he is for privacy reasons, but we're going to be talking about police work, what goes on behind the scenes. We're going to be talking about it today. But before we get to that, let's plug our socials. Please subscribe to us on Redonkulous Podcast. We are on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and Google Podcast. Don't forget to check out our blog, redonkulous.home.blog. And we are on Teespring if you want to buy some merch. So without further ado, let's welcome Mr. John Doe to the show.
What's happening?
Hi, John.
John
Welcome.
Doe.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
This is so funny because we're actually going to be recording the video, and I see your name over here.
That
and
is
it's messing
horrible.
with me because I have to call you John, even though that's not your name.
My last name is Doe. My first name is John. And that's who I am. I'm sticking with it, and you can't prove otherwise.
All right, Mr. John Doe. I always like telling people the funny story of how we met. Do you want to share a little bit about yourself and also like how we met?
Sure. So I started dating this mysterious Jane Doe for a few months. And the day we said, hey, you want to be boyfriend, girlfriend? I'm like, sure, this is high school. That's pretty cool. She's like, great, because I have a wedding I want you to come to. It's Jeff and Annie. I'm like, all right, cool. Let's go to your wedding. She's like, oh, by the way, hopefully you're not going to be nervous because I'm a bridesmaid and you're pretty much going to be left alone throughout the whole wedding. And I said, all right, cool. I'll go to the wedding and not know anybody. That's no problem. And so it was your wedding day, right? I show up and it was at like Fox Hollow or Crest Hollow, one or the other, dual wedding. So it's two weddings going on at the same time, which is no big deal because the venue's huge. And I walk in and I'm like, go figure, 2 Asian weddings at once. How do I know which one I'm going to? I'm thinking, all right, maybe there's a white wedding and a Chinese one. I'll go to the Chinese one. Of course, my luck has it. It's a 2 Chinese wedding. And I see this fine Asian man in a suit walk up to me. And I go, hey, man, I'm here for Jeff's wedding. Would you happen to know where that is? Jeff extends his hand and goes, hey, bro, I think you're here for my wedding. Let me show you. I'm like, oh, man, this is so awkward.
The night before that, if you remember, we had like a dance rehearsal type thing. So the bridal party was there in a parking lot. And I remember meeting you there, but it was so dark that night.
So dark, so sketchy.
And this guy just pulls up in the middle of the night while we're dancing. We're like, who the heck's that?
It was a good time. Listen, you guys know how to throw a good party.
Thank you. All right, so why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, cool. I'll keep it brief and simple depending on how elaborate you want it, but I'll keep it brief until you guys have questions. Active law enforcement, over 7 years, so it's a little bit of time. Previously military for over 9 years. And before I became law enforcement, I was actually like an IT nerd. I like to work on computers and everything like that. And everything just changed at a little switch. And here I am.
Wow, I never asked you about that. So, still have a fascination in IT? Do you still follow the scene, or?
No, that's too much. I'm like an old man. I didn't even know what podcast was until I saw you guys.
Oh, geez.
So
Well, anyway, you're gonna learn today, and we're very happy to have you on.
awesome. Likewise, man.
Okay, so the word of the day is, let me see if I'm messing this up. Rectitudinous. It's an adjective.
Rectitudinous.
Rectitudinous. It's fun to say. It's an adjective. It's characterized by the quality of being honest and morally correct. The senatorial candidate's supporters insist that he is possessed of a rectitudinous character and a spotless record. Now, for the fun
Nice.
part, you guys have to try and spell it out.
I want to say it even starts an R. Does it even start with an R? Can I get a hint?
It starts with the R.
Okay.
Come on, Mr. IT nerd. Let's go.
Rectitudinous. RECTITUOLOUS.
Not bad, but sorry to say, you're not going to be winning any spelling
No,
bees.
no.
Can you say it one more time?
Rectitudinous.
Can I take a shot?
Yeah, go for it.
RECTI. Rected. TUDENESS.
So close.
Oh man.
Okay. Rectitudinous. RECTATUTONESS.
No.
It's illegal. You shouldn't be able to throw his word in the book.
Yeah, Annie was the closest. So let me spell it out for you guys. It's RECTIT. That's the fun part to say.
Oh.
UDINOUS. Rectitudinous. All right, so that's the word of the day. Let's move on to the next thing. We're going to be talking about police encounters, and then John can weigh in on his point of view.
Very cool. Yeah.
So I was making a delivery to an hotel, but I was kind of in a rush. So, there's this left turn I always make to go to the hotel. And, I usually like time it where as soon as it turns green, I'm already on the gas going left. But kind of mistimed it and I went like a second too early. So I technically ran the red. Police pulls me over and they write me a ticket for illegal left turn, not giving the right of way to the opposite side, and crossing I don't know what you call that. The
Crosswalk.
Crosswalk, right, before it was green.
Oh man.
So they're telling me all this, and then like, oh, you have a black frame on your plate that you're not supposed to have.
Oh
And
man.
just like on and on and on, and I'm like,
Oh
God,
man. How did you piss this guy off?
This is gonna be painful. And then
And wait, just before you finish the story, you
Uh-huh.
make this left turn all the time, right? And nothing's happened before?
yeah, I make that left turn daily, and usually I'm pretty good at timing. But this one time I was in a rush, and I was a little early, and the cop pulls me over, and he tells me all of these things that I did wrong. I'm like, damn, I'm sorry, officer. What won't happen again? And then he's like, okay, I'm just gonna write you one ticket for making an illegal left. So, but when he wrote the ticket, on the ticket it said that I ran a stop sign instead of a red light. It's like, oh, I made a mistake on the ticket, so I'm gonna rewrite the ticket and then give it to you. And then so I wait like 5 minutes. I don't know why it takes so long to write a ticket. I guess all the information they had to put down. But anyway, 5 minutes later, he comes back. He's like, hey, our printer's not working. So you're free to go. We're like, oh shit, wow. My lucky day. So is that right? Like if they can't write you a ticket on the spot, you get away with it?
All right, so I'll weigh in on this a little bit. So obviously, anything I say or tell you today, whether you take it as advice or opinion, is strictly from my personal perspective. It's not a perspective of anybody else. I can give you theoretical explanations of why people do what they do. In that case, yeah, I mean, listen, the guy wrote you a stop sign ticket, and there's clearly no stop signs in like 2nd Avenue and 1st Street where you made a left. You can clearly articulate that at court, fight it and it'll get dismissed because there's no stop sign. So did you receive any tickets in the mail?
Mhm.
No, no
Oh.
tickets.
Oh, so you lucked out. That's a great day. Yeah. So listen, I mean, obviously in this situation, you're courteous and respectful. That probably pretty much weighed in on whether the cop could give you a ticket or not give you a ticket. So since you're a nice guy, the cop weighed in on the end where he'd rather not give you one, But if he really didn't like you for whatever reason, you pissed him off, theoretically, he can just mail you the ticket to your house in your residence.
Oh, you really did look out.
You
With a
lucked
return date.
out, dude.
Yeah.
So it wasn't about the printer malfunctioning
Mm.
and he can't give
That
you a
ha-
ticket.
That happens. That does happen. With technology, printers do fail, computers fail. I could be on this podcast right now and we can all cut off. It happens,
You know what, James, I gotta say, if this was now, if it happened to you right now after this whole coronavirus stuff, you would have gotten multiple tickets.
I might have been like, you know what? Where'd you come from? See you later.
Oh, that's true too. Can you imagine getting pulled over and you're just like, I'm so sorry, officer. I'm so
just trying to go to
sorry.
the hospital. I'm not feeling too well.
Oh,
Probably, to
geez.
be honest, if that were me, I would send you straight to the hospital and say, see you later. Have a good day. Just drive carefully.
That actually leads me to my first question, John Doe. Today, I get pulled over. You get pulled over by a cop. What is the most appropriate way to act? And a follow-up question: can you get out of a ticket?
Question 1, part 1, I guess. Proper way to act when you walk up to law enforcement or when law enforcement walks up to you, whether you're on the Sunset Parkway driving up to I-95 upstate New York or any other state. When you're doing law enforcement, you get stopped. Obviously, realize you're getting stopped with the blinking red and blue lights behind you, right? You turn your hazards on. Whatever you do, do not stop in the left lane of traffic. Always pull to the right side of the shoulder. People don't know this, apparently. Like when you get stopped, you don't stop in the left turning lane. Like you safely turn your hazard lights on or you signal and you shift to the right as far as you can. Because it's dangerous for you and the cop walking up to the car if you're in the left turning lane. And people do it all the time. So when you're there safely, everyone knows the cop's going to ask you for your license, registration, and insurance paperwork. It's going to happen. Before they do, make sure your windows are all rolled down, your hands are on the steering wheel. If you can shut off your car, do so, and definitely turn off the radio. I don't want to be walking up to a car where the radio's blasting like F the cops and stuff like that. So
F the police.
Oh, it happens all the time. Certain neighborhoods, it's just some people don't like cops. Listen, that's the atmosphere we got to get used to, unfortunately. But yeah, pull over to the right-hand side of the road, hands on the steering wheel, and you will be guided to provide your license, registration, and insurance paperwork. And as far as getting out of tickets, the word I was looking for before was discretion. It's all discretion. You get stopped for a traffic violation. It could be for speeding, making a left turn at a red light, stop signs, or having a loud muffler. All things are, violations in New York State. And to get out of a ticket, my best advice for the cop with discretion is just be nice. Be nice and be respectful. Just understand they have a job to do and it's never anything personal. They're not targeting you because, James, I didn't like the way you smelled in the supermarket earlier today. So I am going to stop you and write you a freaking ticket, Nothing is ever personal. And some people take it personal, and that's when the cop's discretion usually leans towards issuing them a ticket rather than let them go with a warning.
Now that
Not
you're
really.
saying that, I came up with 2 stories of my past encounters with police, and I'm not proud of it. I'll tell one of them on air. Going off what you said, I definitely took it personal.
Yeah, you can't.
I was on the Bell Parkway on the way to work, and I just got out of rush hour traffic. So, traffic started loosening up, and then I was going. So I was like, oh, yeah, this is good. And I was fidgeting with my phone. I can't
Pokemon Go.
I got pulled over for that. And I was so rude to the police officer. He gives me the ticket, and I was leaving. I yell out, good luck meeting your quota this month.
Oh, my God.
2 weeks later, I got the ticket in the mail. I was just like, damn, I'm such an idiot.
Shake my head.
100%. So just to chime in with that, people act horribly all the time when I work with them and I encounter them, right? And I tell people all the time, listen, I'm like a customer service based individual. going to a restaurant and cursing at your server. You'll never give them bad
I
service because
mean,
you know
yeah,
what's going to
people do
happen.
it. People do
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
People do, but you know what you're going to get though. You know what you end up going to get, you know?
Yeah, you might get some unwanted
Your
stuff
food
inside
Yeah.
spit
the
on.
food.
Exactly. So if you give, if you're not respectful to the officer, guess what you can get? Bad service in return.
So this was when I had my permit and I was in my teens and I was driving somebody else's car to pick somebody up. I was kind of nervous because I've never driven like outside on my own. Like somebody was next to me, but it wasn't my car. And then all of a sudden I hear like this little police car driving next to me and he's like, pull over. And I was like, oh my God. My heart was racing. I was just like,
Yeah.
my face just turned beet red. And I was like, is something wrong? And he said, your light's not on. I was like, oh, okay, got it. And I was
Thanks, bye.
fidgeting. I was like, where's the lights? Where's the lights? And my friend's like, right there, right there. It's like, okay, got it. Thank you.
Imagine getting pulled over by a cop in the small car. Smart cars, is that a punishment? Like why do some why do some cops have that?
Those look cool, but I have no answer for that, to be honest. I don't know why they're in them. If it's a punishment, if they request them because they want to be eco-friendly or plant friendly. I have no idea. I mean, it's a cool little car. Just I wouldn't want to be in one when an accident happens.
Dun, 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 dun.
First of all, that's Mission Impossible.
Oops.
That's
A
enough.
for
First that you-
effort.
What is the worst scenario you've ever been in, and were you scared for your life?
I get a call, and it's called a domestic call. So it's usually like a family member fighting family member, whether it's
Ooh.
husband and wife,
I just got chills.
brother and daughter, daughter and mother, something like that. So I receive a domestic call for a husband that just stabbed a wife. All right. So right off the
Wow.
bat, sounds like something in the movies and sounds like something straight out of Cops, right?
Oh shit.
I get
Ooh.
there
What?
and there's a cop already there. And I'm like, what's up, man? You go in the house yet? He's like, no. He's like, the door's closed, and he's like, I don't know who else is in there. I'm like, well, let's go. We just got a call for someone who just stabbed a wife in there. I open the door and I see a family to my right. So you walk in, there's a foyer to the right. And I could pretty much picture everything as if it happened like yesterday. To the right, and there's a whole family there with a grandma, mom, and 2 kids. And there's blood on the floor. And I'm like, Mom, you okay? She's like, I'm okay. Is the family here? Where's the bad guy? Where's the husband? Somewhere in there. And down the hallway is like 3 to 4 bedroom doors, all closed with a blood trail.
Ooh.
Right? And I'm like, okay, but everyone else is here though, right? Yes, everyone else is here. No problem. I take the lead. My partner's behind me, or the other cop that responded to scene is behind me. And we're the first cops on scene. I open door 1, boom, nothing. Door 2, nothing. Whole time my gun is out, ready to shoot because this guy's got a knife. I see a blood trail. I don't know what this guy's thinking. Third door that pops open, somebody jumps in front of my gun. Ends up being like a 5-year-old kid that no one told me was inside the house though. It took like a snap second to like freeze and make sure like I didn't pull the trigger, didn't hit this kid, nothing, or didn't make sure like dad wasn't hiding behind the door. And I was like, holy crap. I'm like, I could have pulled the trigger on this poor kid because the blood trail led into that room and there was supposed to be no one else except dad with a knife in here. Dad was no longer there. Dad jumped out the window and took off and gone in the wind.
Why
Or-
didn't they tell you there was a kid?
I think it's more of shock. We responded there relatively quick from when the 911 call was placed out, and mom just didn't know. I couldn't get an explanation. Mom just didn't know. So to this day, I'm like, man, things could have went real bad, real quick, and my whole life would have changed at that one split second. It's really weird to say because that will never happen in anyone else's job. If I work in a supermarket, if I break a glass of wine, my life isn't ruined for the rest of my life. That moment right there, if I pulled the trigger, my life would have been ruined, and someone else's life would have been ruined, So that by far is scariest, but not in a sense of like the boogeyman, attacking me type of scary,
Thank God that nothing happened. There are cops, just like any other profession out there, just like you said, supermarket, working in a liquor wine store. But there are cops who are not good at their jobs. Either they don't care or they're in just for, the good pension or whatnot. You really need to be like mentally fit right? Number
Oh
one.
yeah.
Number two, you need to be able to make snap judgments, and they need to be good, because if you mess up, you could have killed a kid, just like in this
hmm
scenario. Is there anything being done to kind of regulate that, like weed out the cops who really don't give a f, or who are not even, should not be wearing a badge and a gun?
Well, I can't say that for certain, but they do have a big and like serious vetting service uh, before you even get onto the so-called job. To get on a job, you have to go through applicant investigations where they investigate your whole background. You visit psychologists and psychiatrists to make sure you're mentally fit. Then there's health screenings, criminal background checks, and then on top of that, you have to proceed to like a 6 months long state curriculum as a police academy before you get onto the job. So technically, once you do that, you're in the system. Whether you're going to be, super cop afterwards, or you're just going to be the 9 to 5 guy, it's pretty much up to them. And you really can't kick anyone out if they don't want to do anything beyond 9 to 5, because although it's asked of you, it's not mandatory.
What's your view on the police dash cams? Because I know some officers are for it and some are against it.
For the most part, it's going to benefit police officers personally, and this is personally speaking. I have no opinion for anybody else that's on the job. Personally, I think it would be a good thing, because a huge majority, because there are bad apples anywhere you work. Majority of the police officers are doing the job the way you're supposed to, and it's going to capture our side of the story instead of someone else's side of the story, where the camera just turned on the moment something bad happens, but didn't have the moments that occurred beforehand.
It's a good idea for both sides, because then, like you said, it wouldn't turn into a he said, she said type of situation.
Right, exactly. Like, hypothetically speaking, like, say I'm chasing a car and, I don't have a dash cam. And next thing you see is, a law enforcement officer shooting a guy dead. But you don't see the part where the guy
You don't get the
gun initially.
context.
Yeah, you don't
have
get the context. Yeah, you don't have the guy where he's pointing a gun through his rearview window back at you while you're chasing him the whole time. All you get is that 10-second video of someone caught.
Well, have you fired your weapon before?
So like my handgun, right?
Yes.
No, never have. And hopefully, to be honest with you, probably never in my career would I want to, because if you do, it's not good. It's not.
So
good.
you've pulled it out before, but you've just never had to use it.
Correct. Yep. So I pulled it out numerous times, because I've been put in some bad positions, just like the scenario I just mentioned earlier with the domestic. But I've never had to use it, and hopefully, knock on wood, I'll never have to in my career. So
He changed his name to John Doe. I just realized that.
And John Doe, I told you.
We can go back to it.
Yeah, let's do 2 truths, 1 lie, and then get back.
2 truths, 1 lie.
2 truths, 1 lie.
I've got 3 stolen car stories for you. All right.
Ooh.
3 stolen car. Obviously, 2 of them are true stories regarding stolen cars. All right, that I've been personally been involved in.
Oh wow. Okay.
First one, straight up Grand Theft Auto, like straight up out of the freaking movies and games. Okay, guy in a stolen car gets stopped by police. Police run the plate, realize it's stolen. The guy goes, "Oh shit!" They know it's stolen. He's waiting for backup before it comes here. The guy takes off. Cop chases him. Cop loses him for briefly. The guy crashes into a house. Right?
Wow.
Cop sees this. The guy bails on foot because he's like, "Holy crap! It's a stolen car." The guy jumps onto, I think, like the Southern State Parkway or something, sees a tow truck helping someone out, hops in a tow truck, steals the tow truck. And I'm talking about like a flatbed tow truck.
Wow.
And drives away and races away. Drives all the way to the city and ends up getting caught by the NYPD out there with like K9 and everything else. This guy like played bumper cars at a tow truck in the city.
So it really is like Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, I didn't personally catch the guy. My partner and I were in pursuit of the guy, right, like the car right behind him, chasing him, because we found him like in the back street somewhere at one point.
Wasted.
So we had him, yeah. So that's the first stolen car story I have. The second one was my partner and I were driving through bad areas. Typically, when we see a stolen car, we chase him. All right, we're chasing him. It's dark out. I've only worked nights throughout my whole career, over 7 years. We're chasing him. We lose him briefly, and then we're like, "Holy shit, that's a stolen car we just had." We jump out. No driver in the car, just someone in the back seat. The guy goes, "Yeah, bro, I wasn't driving the car. The guy who was driving just ran away." And we didn't know who was driving the car, blacked out windows. So we ended up just saying, all right, guess we just have a stolen car, right? I didn't see who was driving, so I can't really charge you with it. So see you later, bro.
You
And
didn't
kicked him off
like
to
you
the
didn't
curb.
question the guy in the back seat?
He said he wasn't driving. His friend just picked him up and he just took off and he ran away. He's like, I just stayed put because I'm innocent. I don't know why he'd be running.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know what the hell he had, maybe a gun or drugs. So
What
we're
if
like,
it was him?
well, it could be, but think about it. That's me on the stand saying, oh yeah, I witnessed him driving, but it was, I work at night. Yeah. Blacked out limo tinted windows. I can't definitively say this was the guy driving, right? Because what happens if he wasn't driving and I say it was? That's really bad. That's how you get perjury on the stand,
Yeah.
So that's stolen car story number 2. Third story with stolen car. I'm driving in a bad neighborhood again, my partner and I, driving an unmarked car.
You drive in a lot of bad neighborhoods.
Yeah, I don't know why. I just kind of stay toward there for, crime reasons, And then we see these 2 young kids for just some reason just don't look old enough to drive, and they're looking at us. And on the rear dash, I see real quick. I'm like, why does this guy have so many license plates back there? And what's on the back of his bumper? No license plate. What happens? Off to the races. It's a newer car too. It was like a new Toyota or a Hyundai, whatever it was. It takes off. He jumps out of the car while it's moving. I end up hitting him, and he bounces back into the car like it's freaking what's that game you play with the ping pong? No, the pinball machine. Pinball machine. So beep, 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 and he bounced back in the car and keeps driving. He hits a fence and he takes off on foot. And I'm in my car still. My partner jumps out of the car, tries to chase him. And then I drive into the middle of a field, almost like a football field, but it's pitch black. And I lose the guy. And I'm like, where the hell is this guy? My partner goes, oh, I got him in custody. Great. I go to my partner. I'm like, oh, Austin, you got him. My partner goes, did you get the other guy? And I'm like, what other guy? He goes, the driver. I'm like, I thought there was only one guy in the car. He goes, no, this other guy was sleeping. He jumped out of the passenger side. That's why I chased him. He's like, I thought you had the driver. I'm like, no, I thought you got the driver. And then fast forward, ends up being the guy who's sleeping was the guy who actually stole the car. We never found the driver, unfortunately, or at least that I know of.
In this scenario, can the guy driving the car be in trouble also, even though he didn't steal it himself?
Well, yeah, he's charging with, like I said, hypothetically, you could charge him with possession of stolen property. A lot of times you have to be aware that you're stealing the car to really be charged with a crime. It's very silly the way the law is written. So if you don't know it's stolen, they can't really charge you with stealing the car. It's very silly. That's my 3 stories.
I feel like the second one is not as extreme. So I feel like that might be the lie.
I'm kind of leaning towards number 2 as well.
I'm kind of leaning towards number 1. So he stole a what kind of car was it again at the end on
a flatbed tow truck.
A tow truck, and he just
straight out of Grand Theft Auto.
It sounds like it's a lie to you. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a lot of property damage.
So I got 2 for 2 and 1 for 1.
So what neighborhood did these take place in?
Oh, they're all sporadic.
Oh.
Actually, I can't say because then I'll reveal where I work. So but they're all bad neighborhoods.
Okay.
Well,
But
he did
they're
say
all
Southern
actually
State Parkway, so you
they're
know
all
it's
the
around
same
there.
area.
And he also said a bad neighborhood, so just narrow it down.
No one do research, okay? Everyone stay put where you are. Don't do any research, okay?
I think it's number 2 because that's just weird.
Yeah, he just left, and then there was somebody in the back seat. It's I don't know.
Yeah,
Happens more
but
than you think.
the suspect, if he knows the ins and outs of law enforcement, and he knows that the windows tinted and they didn't see his face.
Next time I get pulled over, I gotta jump in the back seat.
And tint your windows.
That's it. It's the way. Skate by.
Yeah, and then as far as the police car chase, there's just too many cars in New York. And if it was a chase like that, I think we would see helicopters.
He works overnight shift, so there's not as many cars.
That's a good point. I think we'll see it in the news though. Today at night, there was a police car chase and then helicopters.
Maybe it was on the news. We just didn't know.
Maybe there was a helicopter chase.
That's a good point too.
Was there? Was there?
Yeah, there was. There was a news helicopters.
Because like stuff like this happens all the time in California, I think.
Yeah, it does
Where there's-
actually. LAPD.
Yeah, and then they're
LAPD.
always doing, chase downs.
That they always have it all the time. That's like straight up cops right there. That's like straight up in the movies right there because they have access to it.
Right.
It's crazy.
You're still gonna go with number one, James?
Yes, number one.
All right, was it?
Moment of truth.
All right. Number 3 is the true story. Playing pinball with that guy in the car. We jumped out of a moving car. That's a true story. So you're all right about that.
Nice.
All right. But unfortunately, the one that sounds like a movie, that's actually a true story. And number 2 is a lie.
What?
Yeah. So,
Wow.
but number 2, though, believe it or not, number 2, where the guy jumped in the back seat and pretended he knew nothing had happened, that happens more often than not. Never had one with a stolen car personally. I've had like a 300-pound man one time try to switch seats with his daughter in the front passenger seat as soon as I stopped him to say he wasn't driving because his license was suspended or revoked. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? No. She was driving. Guy, I saw you driving. I'm like, how are you going to switch seats? I'm like, you're 300 pounds. Come on, man. She was like late teens or something like that, like 18 with a license or something. But he tried switching seats. He's like 300 pounds, and you can't. It physically can't. This guy was like stuck in between. It's like he goes, she was driving. I just switched seats real quick. I'm like, okay, guy, I saw you driving. You don't have to make that up. And James, yeah, that story did happen, man. Did hit the news. Several years ago. There was a helicopter chase. It was late night, so there was no cars on the road, and that's why it led all the way as far as it did.
Was it on the news?
It was on the news, yeah. I think it was a brief thing because it sounded like out of Grand Theft Auto, but really nothing crazy. Like no one got seriously hurt, so it didn't really stay in the news long. It was just like a little blip in the news.
I feel bad for the guy. He didn't put in the cheat codes, unlimited money, unlimited cars.
Yeah, this guy literally,
guns.
like I saw the tow truck just flying past us in this neighborhood because we lost a car at one point. They lost a car. I don't know how they lost the car, but the tow truck driver had GPS on the car, so the company was able to say, "Hey, listen, it's driving down the street right now, and it's me and my partner." And I go, "Hey, man, I think it's coming down towards us." Ooh, big tow truck flying right past it. I'm like, "Yeah, there it is, man. Let's get him."
How crazy is that? Like he stole 2 separate different vehicles. He jumps out, sees a tow truck, and steals that.
A tow truck. I don't even know how to drive a tow truck. This guy stole a tow truck. Close one, James. Close one.
Well, we got it right.
Woo!
That's it. Sorry, I don't have any prizes though. I don't. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
You guys. I'll buy you guys food.
A big part of your job is letting go of fear because you have to put other people's lives before yours. But what is actually your biggest fear?
I mean, I got creeped out one day when I walked into a house and an old lady in a dark, big house tells me to close the doors. The squirrel's going to attack us. I mean, I was scared of that. So I guess in all essence, my fear is really not really of dying. My fear is really getting hurt to the point where I can't do my job anymore, where I can't help people anymore, and nor can I help support my family like financially anymore because I can't work. So that's more so my fear. So I've kind of like, maybe with age, I've come to limit myself on the crazy activities I do now so I don't get hurt. Like I used to like snowboarding and it's still fun, but I don't want a chance breaking my leg because I've gotten hurt before and not being able to work anymore. Now I can't support my family and now I'm just kind of just bumming at home,
What made you want to become a police officer in the beginning?
To be honest, military. Because I was in IT through school. I was IT certified, like whatever, computer certified to go throughout the state and fix computers, license and everything. And then I did a drastic change to the military and I was like, wow, I like working in a team. I like staying physically fit, I like just helping people. And I said, well, I can't do that in the IT field. So let me check this out. And, I started looking into the job and I said, you know what? I think I can make a career out of it. I think I would like that. I'm always on my feet, and I can help people out and work in a team environment. So that's what made me go towards law enforcement. I think it goes for a lot of military people, I guess, too.
Which force did you serve in the military?
I guess without giving my secret away as James Bond, I was in the Marine Corps.
The funny thing is, him and his significant other calls us maybe like an hour and a half ago and goes, "Hey, we're gonna come over now to record the podcast."
I was like, wait, tonight?
Oh no. So she specifically said this. I'm walking through the good old Asian parts, and my significant other goes, "Hey Annie, you mind if I bring my dog?" And he goes, "To where?" And my SO goes, "To your house tonight." She's like, "For what?" "For the podcast. We're in the neighborhood. We're gonna meet you guys at 6 o'clock for your podcast, right? Can I bring my dog over?" And she goes, "Oh no, you log in and you use the app and then we do podcasts." I'm like, oh my God, I'm so out of this. I am so old. Maybe I should have read the instructions before I did anything today.
As far as I know, like the New York Mafia, stuff like that, that does not exist anymore, right?
I don't know personally, but
Yeah.
I think it does.
Yeah.
I 100% think it does. I mean, they still have trials of guys who are part like of the Gambino family and this family and that family. I mean, they still exist. As far as what they really do, illegally, I don't know.
There's a lot of TV shows out there about police and detectives, like CIS, NCIS, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Law and Order, The Wire. Yeah, The Wire was pretty intense TV.
You watched The Wire, James?
Yes, I watched it.
I heard it's pretty
so
good. Chicago
surprised.
PD is one of my favorites.
Yeah, so interesting. So how accurate are these TV shows?
For instance, CSI. Oh my God, I got video surveillance of somebody of committing a crime, right? But it's pixelated. I can't click on this and depixelate it and make it like some HD picture of this guy and say, "Oh my God, it's the mass murderer. I know who he is, Mr. Jerry Jones." Like it doesn't happen that way. Yeah, so a lot of stuff it can happen. It just takes time. It doesn't happen in a fashion it does. I've looked at a lot of surveillance videos. It's pixelated. I look like Mario. You don't know who I am, and you'll never find the guy. You can have a clear shot of the guy's face, but because it's so far away, you'll never know who he is. Some of these cops look cool on TV, like, yeah, I'm just gonna wear my gun this way and my shield this way. Not really proactive as a real cop. I mean, it just looks cool.
You guys hosted us twice, and every time that we've left your place, we were just like, "Oh my God, that was so cool."
Well, listen, it's easy to host when everyone's having a good time. We don't have to do much. Literally all I provide is a space. Like I host a free venue, and everyone just comes and relaxes, and we just shoot the shit.
You know what? The last time I was there, I was doing 75 hard, so I wasn't drinking, and I already failed that. So I'm coming over again.
Of course. We have plenty of guest bedroom space, and couch space, and if you want to share, we'll share rooms. That's okay.
Thank you, John Doe. Thank you very much for coming on the show. We're looking forward to the new James Bond movie with you in it this coming year. So can't wait.
My
for
pleasure.
that.
My pleasure. And thank you for having me, guys.
Before we go, I just want to close out the show. Again, check us out on YouTube, Redonkulous Podcast. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, and Spotify. That's all the time we have for today, guys. Thank you for joining us. And don't forget, stay redonkulous.